Okay, in this video we're going to start to talk about vectors and some basic characteristics that they possess. So when you're talking about a vector, you're talking about a line segment with direction. Let's just write that down. Line segment with direction. So we're looking at this. This is a vector. So you got these arrows. So in a vector, you've got two parts. You've got where it starts, which is a tail, and where that arrowhead is, we call that the head of the vector. So there's two very important characteristics of vectors. Vectors must have both magnitude and direction. So I'm just going to write that down. So magnitude is just the length of a vector, and direction, of course, is which way it's going. So when you're talking about how vectors are labeled, let me just draw another one here. Okay, so a couple of ways. You can have a letter, usually capital letter, at the tail, and another capital letter at the head. So we would call this vector AB. Now, you just can't write AB though. You have to put that vectored arrow above. And notice over here, A was at the tail, so A is still at the tail, and B was at the head, and B is still at the head. So you can do it like that, or you can use a small letter, so something like this. Maybe we could just call it V, and have that little vector symbol over there. So you're going to have to interchange between both ways of labeling them. So the first thing I want to talk about is opposite vectors. So opposite vectors, they have the same magnitude, but they go in opposite directions. So if I have this vector here, call it vector B. And then if I do this, if I have the exact same magnitude but I'm going the other way, that would be minus V, or minus vector V. So likewise, when you have opposite vectors, you can also have equal vectors. So take a second to yourself and say, what might equal vectors be? And I bet you're going to come up with the same thing I'm going to write. They must have the same magnitude and direction. So if I have this vector here, vector A, and then I have this other vector here, B, that's going in the exact same direction and the same magnitude, they would be equal vectors. Now I'm going to make a note here about opposite vectors. So opposite vectors are not equal vectors. Because opposite vectors are going in opposite directions. Equal, they have to be going in the same direction, and they have to have the same magnitude. So we keep talking about magnitude. So I'm going to write this down again. Magnitude is just the length of a vector. So if I have this vector here, and we'll go AB, the symbol for magnitude, when I'm talking about magnitude, is going to be the absolute value symbol. So whenever we're talking about magnitude, we're going to have to get used to using the absolute value symbol, and that will always mean magnitude of a vector, which means we're going to look at the length. So in the next video, we're going to